Now we're live. Now there's
Now we're
audio.
live.
Now there's audio.
Now I have to repeat everything I said. Okay, so we're changing the format a little bit of our intro, our programs, maps, everything that we're using is going to be below in the description of the stream. Thank you again for joining for the love of crits as we go through with our Lost Clerics of Barovia. We're going to kind of just jump straight into it where we left last session in the Church of St. Andrel, where I believe the last phrase was Onyx talking to Akadi, saying today was fucked.
Yes.
We thank you again for joining. Curse of Strahd is a campaign with mature themes. We do use mature language on this podcast, or on this, not podcast, this stream. So viewer discretion is advised. And without further ado, what do you say to Akadi, Onyx?
Alright, so you see Onyx at the end of one of the benches that serves as a pew in this chapel. And he's staring down at his hand, flipping a token back and forth. And he goes, "Well, Akadi, I know you saw it all, but today was fucked up. First, we went searching for those children that had run away from the orphanage. Penarith seemed particularly eager to find them, so we made haste towards the lake, which is the direction we were told they were last spotted going. We spoke to a weird fisherman who was really not much help at all. I don't get how this individual can be happy just fishing every day, especially when he claims he really hasn't caught anything recently. Humans confuse me. Either way, by your guidance, we started our search in the forest, quickly coming across the abandoned campsite that we assumed the children had used. With no traces of them nearby, we followed the path forward only to be ambushed by wolves. Now, I have killed many a creature, so a wolf, or 3, shouldn't have been that bad. But these were no ordinary wolves. These had intelligence about them. They fought with a ferocity that I haven't experienced in quite some time, and honestly, found myself a little rusty against such a foe. I guess I'm gonna need to add some weapon training again after my morning prayers. I'm starting to slip." It wasn't until we had been hurt pretty badly that Conereth drew on some stronger power that pulled a beam of light from the moon to help defeat these creatures. Now, mind you, this must have been some strong powers he called upon. I know you're super strong yourself, but this was weird. He called from the moon in broad daylight. Either way, nobody could have guessed. When the beam of light hit that first wolf, it transformed. It was no longer a wolf, but a human. A small human. And no longer moving. Herbert, when realizing it was one of the children we were looking out for, lost it. Absolutely lost it. And slapped Conereth. Hard. At first I thought Conereth might go down. But he was just stunned. It was around this time that I noticed something was different with me as well. I'm not proud of my past. And by your grace, I know I'm working to undo what I have done. But I have done this exact thing before, and not batted an eye. When granted, it was under orders, but still, eliminating a mark has never affected me before. This time, I felt for the child and my companions who stood in shock at the sight. Maybe my creator missed something when making me. Maybe I've developed a defect. Or maybe this is just how long Warforged lasts, and I'm breaking down. I will need to ponder this when we have some downtime. This is not good. This could decide a battle in the heat of the moment. Well, I won't bore you with the stuff about our walk back, but Just outside the city, we did meet an interesting gentleman. His horse was stuck in the mud, so my companions helped him pull it free. It was then that he introduced himself as Tarek, and he asked us to deliver a rug to a Blinky? The toy maker in town, anyways. The others made some sort of deal with him involving gold and potentially buying a doll for his niece, but the child I was carrying back to town was getting heavy after such a long trek, and I really had to focus on that and kind of tune them out. Once they had finished their discussions with the weird man, we were stopped at the gates of the city, getting questioned by the guards. We tried to tell them over and over that the child had passed away. It was no longer a threat. That, they just wouldn't believe us. So what they do? They go grab up another priest from town who told them the exact same story. Luckily, after he told them the same thing, they allowed us in so we can give this child the proper burial it deserves. But when the father did learn of our fight, he got mightily concerned about if the wolves had bitten us. He admitted, yeah, I had been bit, but I felt fine, minus the actual wound. Vaguely remembered that Conereth had also been bitten in the struggle. He hasn't really said a word, so I'm uncertain if the bite might have affected him more than me. The others are concerned about him turning into a wolf. I'm more concerned that he's going to break mentally. I've seen that look before, when I had to team up with a human, and we eliminated Lord Garroth and his family. After that, the human was never the same. I'm not sure Conereth will pull out of this, as his once happier demeanor has been replaced with sullen eyes and silence. More silence than normal, I should say. Lastly, just before thinking we could sit back and tend to our wounds, there was a knock on the chapel door. Outside stood the stranger with the weird dragon arm. Apparently, he's the one that's in charge of the city guard, and was there to inform us that the Baron has requested we meet with him for lunch tomorrow. I'm not sure how to respectfully decline, since I don't eat their sustenance. So I'm sure I'll get dragged to this as well, and maybe I'll have to fake eat or something. We'll figure it out tomorrow. But I know a power play when I see one. Someone sees a chance to get the upper hand or assert their power, and they jump at it. I did the bidding of such a man for a long time. These types of meetings only end with one party feeling like the victor, and the other like trapped rats. I need to re-energize, so I'm as alert as I can be tomorrow for this meeting. I ask that you show me a sign if we're in danger, and that you help protect me from falling into this trap that has been laid. Oh, Akari, this land is definitely a fucked up place.
Thank you, Onyx. And if you could roll a d6 for your luck points as well.
Sure.
Now, while Onyx is attempting to recharge, the Herbert has taken the opposite route, deciding that with the recent tragedy, that he's instead going to throw himself into his own tinkering to make himself stronger for the future. Did you have any particular narrative set in place, Herbert, for what you were doing or working on as you were going along?
Not in particular, but just more of an explanation of where his head's at. He's obviously very traumatized by this. He doesn't like to see this sort of thing happen. And I think that his mind starts to go into problem-solving mode, like, how can we fix this? But there's really nothing he can do in his particular state, immediately for the child. Obviously, they've passed. There's nothing he can do about that. but maybe he can find a way to be more aggressive or be more creative or just give himself some more tools. Because he has a lot of tools, a lot of tool proficiencies, but he didn't bring everything with him. So he is falling back on what he's most comfortable with, and that's tinkering, building, creating. So he's just become feverish, basically, in his creation. He got an idea, and he's going to run with it. So he created a set of smithing tools for himself last night with his, I forgot the official name for it. Blessing, yeah, no, not Blessing of the Forge. Artisan's Blessing. So he created those, and since he made them out of gold coins and a golden ring, that they have like a golden sheen to them in the metal parts. But yeah, he's just trying to unravel his thoughts by getting some of them out into the real world.
And you had also talked about with the copper as well, correct?
Yeah, he would have tried to collect as much copper coins as possible, realizing that silver coins don't really exist here. He's going to save as many of those as he can. But yeah, he's going to use gold coins and stuff like that. I do have a very valuable necklace as well, which I think Herbert would be interested in liquidating. But he'd probably check with the group first before he did anything like that, because it's quite expensive.
Oh yes, from the Death House, correct?
Yes.
I was thinking you meant your holy symbol at first. I was like,
No.
Okay, that would make more sense. So, were you creating the gloves that you had spoken about previously?
Yes. So he is basically using the smith tools. Like he has a small forge sort of set up. Like he can sort of like build a small forge and light it. And he's melting as much copper coins as he can and just stringing it out into copper wire. Just as much wire as he can make. Just to keep it simple. Because he's only got tonight to really work on this.
No, that makes sense. So, as you are, it's kind of dark in the chapel. There's no light around you other than like the candles and stuff and what you've been using to kind of melt down everything. Trying not to disturb the peace, trying not to make too much of a mess, kind of keep everything through there. You're kind of huddled down on your table and just kind of enjoying the tactile labor that you're able to partake in, that it feels like you haven't been able to do since you left Waterdeep. However, you're working on this project and you keep hitting roadblocks, and you don't know if whether it's just because you're very tired, because your mind is on other things. But every time you hit a roadblock, it just keeps keeping you from progressing forward with your task. As you're going along, you suddenly feel not a familiar presence, but a familiar feeling of something pushing against the edges of your mind or your consciousness. Initially, you would look at this and be overjoyed. Gond has, in past, given you sparks of inspiration. Usually, you roll into these, knowing that whatever he provides you is going to lead you to create something greater than you ever thought you could have before. However, rather than coming from the small gear symbol around your neck, this presence seems to be emanating from the key that you have been keeping, from the mysterious entity that saved you from the fire in your vision.
Curious.
Do you embrace the thought as you would with Gond? Or do you instead reject it?
I mean, Herbert is curious. So I think he would want to know what this is. So I think he would tentatively accept.
So, as you kind of open the door for this to come in, you just get flashes of images across your brain. And you suddenly have a type of eureka moment where you have been having this trouble creating the gloves, and this kind of gave a solution and even gave you an option to do it better. So, Herbert, you have accepted the help of whatever entity this is. And in exchange, your shocking grasp now uses a D10, and you have resistance to lightning damage while wearing these gloves.
Ah, yes, if I run a coil all the way down my leg and plant it in the ground, then I can avoid most lightning damage that would hit me. Brilliant. Oh, why didn't I think of that?
That being said, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say he's like he's happy at first, but then he's like, well, but it didn't feel the same as when he is inspired by Gond. Is that right?
Correct. It feels like it had the same results, but a different feeling to it.
So maybe like when he gets inspiration from Gond, it's more like you see another craftsman do something and you go, I can use that in my way, but in this instance, perhaps something has crept over my shoulder and given me the idea to do. And it's like, well, I could just do that. Would that be accurate, maybe?
Yeah, I think that would be, that would make sense on my end. As far as how it differs, like how Herbert would accept the help or how he would feel about the help, that would definitely be for you to decide. But with Gond, it definitely would be a more pleasant feeling of two creators together rather than someone just kind of giving you the knowledge that you were seeking. Whereas Gond would guide you to where it is rather than just giving the answer.
Unsettling, but I suppose I'll take what I can get for now. Yeah, he's just unsettled and he's gonna contemplate, but just continue with his work.
Okay. So, the evening and the night pass without any additional surprises. I would say the dawn, but the light of day begins to pour in, Herbert, and you see that before your very eyes, the entire night has passed by without noticing. And you see that you now have your finished work in front of you, your smith's tools, and a
copper owl as well.
Copper owl,
like a
yes.
little figurine. I've just wound copper wire together to make to sculpt the likeness of an owl. A very small one, like this big.
With all of that being said, you have all of this there. You are mentally exhausted and have not been able to rest from the previous fight. So you haven't regained any of your spell slots, and you do have the exhausted condition level 1.
Understood.
But with that being said, everyone else, you can kind of wake up. Onyx and Graves, you likely would have seen that Herbert was working the whole night through.
I think he was working in a different room, so I was kind of powered down out in the chapel.
Oh, okay. Did you...
Depends on where you did it.
You'd be aware that I didn't return, at least,
Right.
because you're aware of the whole night. But yeah, it would just been somewhere secluded enough to where I'm not going to keep anyone up or anything like that.
Hmm.
But not secret.
I mean, in the main chapel itself is like only Graves and Onyx anyway.
Yeah. So
And we
yeah,
don't sleep.
maybe you would have just watched me all night.
Yeah.
Did I
Graves
leave the
probably
main
spent like
chapel?
Graves probably spent like half the night like doing his regular meditation, and then the other half, because only needs the 4 hours, like practicing with his dagger.
I don't think I left the main chapel. I was skulking in the corner the entire time.
Yeah, because you talked
Sure.
to Irina, right?
Yeah.
Correct, yeah. Irina was connecting, was kind of talking about what she had been doing in Valaki. That being said, does anyone else do anything either throughout the night or very early in the morning upon awaking?
I gained 5 levels from Akadi.
Nope.
Okay.
So,
Worth
you
a
did
shot.
ask, I wanted to clarify, you said that you prayed to Akali and you asked for a sign of what?
In
I
case of danger, I think it
yeah.
said.
So I asked for her to show me a sign if we are in danger, and to help protect from falling into this trap that has been laid.
I mean, I think just being in Barovia constitutes as being in danger.
I mean, yeah, but I was thinking more for this
Or like-
upcoming meeting.
Acute danger.
Like, Onyx has seen these kind of power plays before, so he knows that this is not going to be a good meeting.
So, that being said, as far as things that had been kind of left up in the air as things that you were working on, you have the lunch at noon with Baron Vargas Valakovich, and then you have the carpet that you were asked to deliver
Yes.
to Blinsky,
Hmm.
who owns the toy shop in town.
Yes.
Graves also wants to go see the blacksmith at some point.
Okay, so which order would you like to do it in? Would you like to check the blacksmith first? Would you like to try to offset the carpet first?
I mean, Tally, I could also, looking at the building, bypass the blacksmith and be like, "Hey, yo, Herbert." Technically,
Even if you were looking around, you'd probably look at Herbert and notice that he seemed pretty drained.
yeah. I was like, maybe if I don't
Locals.
find something today, I'll ask him another day.
Yeah, he seems pretty exhausted. So,
You need a nap.
so would you guys like to go to Blinsky's or to the blacksmith's first?
Hey, guys, I know I have no knowledge of what a good versus bad doll is. So you guys go work on delivering the rug and buying the doll. I want to go and research something.
Sure.
All right, shouldn't be too difficult.
As far as
Should we-
Black versus Doll, Graves would probably, unless someone else had a specific opinion, he'd probably just go to whichever one he comes across first. Unless
Yeah,
someone
so-
else was like, "Let's go here first."
I think Herbert's
Okay.
just along for the ride, so whichever's closest is fine with him.
Okay, let me pull you guys over to the Valaki map.
Oh. Cat hair on my nose. Why have you done this to me, cat? Yeah.
That is what they do.
Yep.
My dog does the same thing.
Yeah, but now he's just sitting here looking so pleased with himself.
Alright, so we are... Where are we?
We're not at this gate anymore.
Let me add in your guys's team
Oh, I had
walking
it backwards.
thing.
Apple is here.
Party token.
Yeah.
The gelatinous cube.
Dude, I love the look of the gelatinous cube in this game.
Yeah.
Because
just
we
works so well.
destroy everything we come across.
So, as far as searching methods, I'm guessing you guys would kind of ask around for where things are.
Probably.
Okay, so, you would be able to learn pretty quickly that Blinsky's toys are down on the southern part of town, and the blacksmith is kind of in the shopping area near the town square. But Blinsky's is closer, so it's going to be over here. I'm not sure if you can see my light.
Yep.
Oh, I found it.
All right. So,
And I'm assuming you're saying that... oh, wrong button. Over here, then, would
Correct.
be the blacksmith.
that is the town square. So while it's early in the morning, it's probably around 8:30 to 9 in the morning. You guys would have kind of done your morning prayers, gathered everything kind of up for the day, and prepared yourself as you went. You would have killed some time before heading out, so the shops are open and everything. You guys walk throughout. You see that many of the townsfolk are still getting kind of started throughout the day. You see a small cramped shop at the end of this roadway. It has a dark entrance portico, above which hangs a wooden sign shaped like a rocking horse, with a large letter B engraved on both sides. Flanking the entrance are two arched, lead-framed windows. Through the dirty glass, you see jumbled display of toys, hanging placards bearing the slogan, "Is no fun, is no Blinsky." You guys would recognize this phrase as something that Tarek had mentioned. And then, Graves, you also recognize the phrase from a previous time in this campaign, though I don't know if you actually shared it with the rest of the party
I
at
don't
that
think
time.
so. I don't think I did.
So is that something that you would disclose, or would you just kind of keep it to yourself?
I don't think I'd bother at the moment.
Okay. So, you, as you kind of come on, you can tell that the door is unlocked, and you're able to push it open without any difficulty. The inner part of this town, let me do this really quick. There we go. As you walk in, you can see that there's not very much natural light coming into this shop. It is mostly surrounded by toys and piles of different materials, hanging dolls along the walls, many of which are grim in nature. You see that many of them have skulls or veiled dresses, things like that, where it is not something that you would see anywhere else except for a tinkerer's shop. Herbert, you would immediately feel at home, seeing that there's quite a bit of things that you could easily spend hours kind of deconstructing. Little machinations that are full of gears and trinkets and cranking, hearing music boxes going off in the background. As you open the door, you hear the voice come from a man ahead of you, sitting at his counter. He's looking down. He has a eyeglass that he is looking through, and it appears that he is sewing some banners. The banners that he's working on, you can see, has the symbols for the Festival of the Blazing Sun. Without looking up, he recites what sounds like a well-rehearsed greeting. He just says, "Welcome, friends, to the House of Blinsky, where happiness and smiles can be bought at bargain prices. Perhaps you know a little child in need of joy, a little toy for a girl or boy." And he looks up and seems to notice for the first time that you are someone new, someone that he has not met before. He immediately jumps up in joy, and you see that what you thought was part of his hat moves off of his shoulder. Instead is a small monkey wearing a pink tutu.
Nice.
What?
Classic.
New faces? How can Blinsky help you today?
Yeah.
Gadolf Blinsky at your service.
Pleased to meet you, friend.
Herbert's very distracted by all the little figurines, so he's immediately just looking at stuff and fiddling with things.
Yeah, so you kind of are fiddling with some things, and you would actually very quickly find like wind up things. You'd find a wooden string mobile of like hanging bats, and as you kind of touch it, like they flap their wings and kind of go in a circle. Very good craftsmanship, but very creepy craftsmanship. And you would be able to see that there is actually a ventriloquist doll that looks remarkably like Strahd von Zarovich. As you're looking around, there's price tags on most of everything. Everything looks like it's around 1 gold piece, or less, like a copper.
Yes. Hello, my friend. Yes, we are new to town here. Our first main reason we've come in today, he'll kind of motion over to maybe Conereth, who's carrying the rug. We have a delivery for you. We're asked by Tarek to bring this to you.
Yes, Tarek, yes. I have never had much skill myself with the loom work. Mostly have worked with metal and leather. But the Bastani have much better resources than I. Please, and he would hold out his hands to grab the rug, and he would just immediately just kind of roll it out and lay it on the ground in front of his shop. That it adds even more bizarre coloring to the room, and it clashes completely. But it just adds to the chaotic nature of it, whereas the floor was one of the few areas of the shop that was simple, and it almost removes that simplicity. Looking at Blinsky, you can see that he has a purple and green jester's outfit, where it is split into 4 corners, interlacing, and his hat has small bells near the end of it. Herbert, you would have seen these type of jesters quite often in the noble courts of Waterdeep.
Court jester?
Oh,
Interesting.
yes. I find that when I'm trying to sell toys to children, I'm trying to advertise that it's best to give an air of friendliness and fun. Because it's no fun. It's no Blinsky. What, is there anything else I can assist with? I have did Tark mention how to handle the payment for delivery?
Yes, that was going to be handled by the proprietors of the Blue.
Oh, the Blue Water Inn.
Yes, they were going to.
Yes, I can drop that off to the
Excellent.
to them. That shouldn't be a problem. I'm there usually once every day or so.
Excellent. That was that.
Is there any? Can I interest you in any of my wares?
Well, there was supposed to be a sort of fee that we were supposed to collect as part of the payment, was it?
Oh,
Or-
wait, so we just had being dropped off at the Blue Water Inn.
Well, yes, but we were supposed to get some paid for our time, right?
Let's
say that?
see.
I do not remember. Gary doesn't
I
remember.
believe that he did.
And
But he
also
hadn't
asked
given
us-
you. I don't believe he had given you specifics.
Yeah.
But
Well, he had said
Linsky kind of looks. He's like, well, I paid for the product. I can give you the delivery fee. You gave me the product and you delivered it to me, so I don't mind. I was giving him 25 gold for the delivery fee. The carpet itself was only 50 gold. So I can give the 50 gold to Erwin and the 25 gold for yourselves. I apologize, that's not much, but
it's
that
quite
is
a
what I
lot.
was paying him.
It's quite a lot, in my opinion. I think it's more than generous. And if we're planning to see him later, I believe. So we can negotiate at that point, see if he wants
Yes.
to change.
Yes.
Yeah, if you travel to the encampment outside town, he's usually there or
Yes.
near Serpool. He
Speaking of
travels
the
between the two.
speaking of the encampment outside of town, he said his niece, I believe, is having a birthday coming up. And he said if
Arabelle.
we could, yes, it was told us while we're here if it was easy enough to possibly while we were here seeing you pick up something for her birthday for her.
You know, she comes in quite often to look at my toys. I know what she likes. I have something that I've been working on, but I think it should be ready. He goes behind the counter and he looks at the monkey, and he's like, Piccolo, Piccolo, go grab it. And he kind of points up, and the monkey is staring at him blankly, like not responding at all to his commands. And he tries a few times, and then he kind of gives up, and he goes and grabs a stool to be able to grab something off of the top shelf.
I really thought this was going to go dark. I thought it was going to be like, oh, he's such a happy-go-lucky, I love kids and making toys, and damn, this monkey, like, smacks it or something. Like, oh, God.
Just kicks a small animal, just animal cruelty.
So he pulls down a doll, and it has a similar jester's hat to his own. But this is not a doll that you would ever think of giving a child, in your opinion. It is quite creepy, and it looks like that if you set it, it would be able to stand on its own. I am going to be posting a picture of this
Over in the Discord.
in the Discord where all of our handouts are collected.
Join the Discord.
This one is not one I made. This is just the official Wizards of the Coast for this creation. Actually, I will the string. And he pulls the string, and you
There's
just
a snake in my boot.
you just see the doll kind of like its head jerks, and it's just like, my name is Piglet the Second, and I'll be a friend to you. Insert a coin and pull my string, and I can do some useful things.
Grace finds this very interesting. That is very cool.
You would
Very
Probably
cool.
holding like a blowgun and has suspicious-looking darts in a pouch on its hip. Quinarith is thinking that there's something very suspicious about the intended use for this doll. I did share that.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, look at this. It's cute. It's candy cane, and he's got some pet mice, you know?
Yes, I didn't notice the mice.
Yeah. And this pouch with the skull on it clearly is crayons, right?
Yes.
Or drawing sticks.
So,
Yes. Oh, wow.
I think that this would be a winner with Arabelle. I think that she would enjoy it quite a bit. I have to say it's probably my best work, but I would be very curious who made yours.
Oh, well, he's not a toy. He's like a full person.
What?
But,
How?
Yeah,
Onyx isn't here for reference.
Oh, he's not?
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Correct.
Yeah,
I
Onyx
went-
Oh,
isn't here.
never mind. He would not have
That's
said
it.
that.
Yeah.
I-
He
Yeah,
would
yeah.
not have offended Onyx.
Yeah, no, I have broken off and I am going elsewhere.
That's right, because
Yeah,
you were
Onyx
doing
is-
research.
Not here.
Does the toy actually like ambulate when it says these things, or is it just like throwing its arms around and going, yeah?
Almost animatronic, but it's a very fluid animatronic. That its head moves. It's like, it has like the lines on either side of its mouth where it like opens and closes, more like a ventriloquist style.
Yeah, I'm just picturing Jeff Dunham.
Yeah. So
Herbert's head is like, why on earth would he part with this for only 10 copper? Because this seems like
you look at the rest of his stuff, and most of his stuff is around like 8 to 10 copper.
They're toys.
but it's like this thing must have used like there's a great deal of craftsmanship that went into this thing. And Herbert knows, well, I guess he's probably used to Waterdeep prices or economy, at least, so he knows that work like this can be extremely expensive, like in the thousands of gold territory. At least,
But this
well,
is
not
Barovia.
yeah, well, maybe not thousands, like more like maybe 100 or so, really, for like simple, like programmed voice and stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's like there's either magic or some sort of strange contraption going on in here, and he really wants to just open this thing up and like figure out how it works.
It's just haunted.
So he's like,
Yeah.
well, here, I will leave him in your hands. He's quite light. And when he hands it to you, it's about the size of like a toddler. Like it's like 2.5 to 3 feet tall. Like it's
Actually, just a
it's-
mini Warforged.
yeah, it's very small, but who takes him?
I think Herbert would probably take him because he seems most interested, but like he's also pretty creeped out, so maybe he'd like examine it for a while and just be like,
He's a prankster there, so be careful.
he has a personality, or is this like a backstory lore sort of thing? Like,
No, he has a personality. I pulled the string once, but he can speak when the string is pulled.
like he can come up with his own things to say.
I think so. I don't fully understand it. I mostly build the shell. I
It's
don't.
just a small size Warforged.
But you pull the string. I think there is a limit to what he can say.
I think I would just pull it again right now to see
You
what
pull the string, and it just says meow.
happens. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Interesting. But it was just like a person saying meow. It's not like an actual meow sound. Or
It was like a person saying meow.
and you recorded all these yourself, or did you?
Recorded? No. Pete looked the second. He just says it.
Yes, that's totally normal.
Have you, from what I've heard, you've been making toads for quite a while. Is it a family business or something that you started yourself, my friend?
Something I started myself. I've always liked toys, and I also grew up in the orphanage. One of the reasons that I got into it because I assume, and he looks at the other two. He's like, "I'm assuming that you did not grow up in the Valley of Barovia."
No.
Oh, you didn't either. And he looks back at Graves. He's like, "I apologize."
Oh, so I don't know if I did, actually, to be honest. I'm not quite sure where I'm from. Bit of a memory loss. Over. Speaking of Barovia, in that case, from what you are saying, then you have every Blinksy toy then has been made by your personal hands, then, correct?
Well, yes, it's no fun. It's no Blinsky was my catchphrase I created.
Yes.
You have seen my work?
I have. I actually had a specific piece of work I was wondering about, if you remember. And Graves pull out the doll that he kept from the death house, which is a little doll with like red hair and a yellow dress. And he'll kind of turn it and show the tag, which is a Blinsky tag. Do you happen to remember this particular doll?
Most of my dolls I do remember. This one, I know the colorings and the style, but I can't imagine. And he kind of is looking over. He's like, the stitching is mine. Who are you? And he's kind of looking at the doll, and he's almost like talking to the doll. And he's like, how did you come to be? And he's looking, he's like, well, the coloring I recognize because it's quite a common style that I do. As you know, as you can tell by what I create, to some, they don't necessarily like my style. But I like to make some red-headed dolls just because with the red being unlucky, it allows for it to be something unique. And he kind of points over to a corner, and you would see that there is a small table that has like 5 or 6 other dolls that look very similar to the one you have, just with different dresses on there. He's like, I don't know where the idea originally came from. It just seemed to come to me one time.
But you don't remember who you would have made this one specifically for, then?
Not at all.
Well,
this was not a special order, and I'll be honest, I don't remember this one at all. So where did you find it?
We found it in a home near the village of Barovia. Are you familiar with, I've heard it referred to as the Death House or the Durst Manor?
I've heard the name Durst, but I'm not familiar with Death House. I've never really left Valaki for most of my life.
The Durst family were killed many, many years ago, and there's talk of the home being haunted, but that's where we found it. That's why I find it strange as well, because I would imagine that no one has lived there in, maybe over 100 years? So it was strange to find a toy made by your hand there, but strange things happen in this valley.
Oh, that's understandable. That's curious. I'm sorry that I cannot provide an answer, but I'm glad that you've been enjoying the toy. And he smiles as and he's like, I must prepare. We have the festival tomorrow, and I have more decorations I must finish.
Before you go, I do have one quick question for you.
Of course.
You said that you were given the idea, or sometimes you're given inspiration sometimes.
Yes.
What does that feel like? Or what's that like for you?
Well, it's like a dream, I guess. That I just see a woman in like for this example, and he kind of points, and he's like, the dreams in Barovia are not always glad tidings, which you can see by the inspiration of my work. They can be grim, depending on who you ask, but I find to look at the grim with a sense of comedic nature, and it makes everything look brighter. In this particular example, I often would see a woman with red hair in a wedding dress or some type of other gown. And as she wouldn't go away, I just started to make dolls similar to that.
I see.
Looking at the dolls on the table, are they all in dresses and appear to be kind of like meant to be the same doll, just with different clothes?
Correct, and they all do appear to be wedding gowns after he says it.
No. I think Garion has a theory, but I don't think Reyes would have this theory.
But I must get back to my sewing. Piccolo, move. And he's like, I'll train this monkey eventually. It just takes time.
Yes, as does many things. Well, thank you for your time, my friend.
And thank you. And again, please let them know that when you come to Blinsky, it is quality, and it's no fun, it's no Blinsky.
Of course.
Nice to have a catchphrase. Yeah, I should come up with one. Don't really have much branding going on.
Mine is probably fuck. Anyway.
Oh, I can't think of anything. I'm just.
I myself was looking to head over to the blacksmith as well this morning. Did either of you have anything you were planning to do in town before lunch?
You're going to see another blacksmith?
You were very tired. If you want, if you'd like, I could have you do. I do have some materials we could convert.
I mean,
but I was just.
What did you have in mind?
I want a few more daggers, and I want to kind of pick out his leather. I kind of want some a little more sturdy. Like there's some I've seen studded leathers before that might add a little bit extra.
Well, if I'm being honest, they might have it already in stock, so we might be able to skip that whole deal. But maybe another time I would have just created some for you. But we'll do a rain check on that. Maybe I can make some upgrades later down the line. I could silver them.
Yes, that's what I was thinking about sometime as well.
Everyone save your silver coins, by the way. I found out silver coins don't really exist here. Like
We cut to Onyx and it's like, oh yeah, here's all my silver coins.
I have 7 right now. But that's it. If you want, I could just pass them off to you, because you can silver things with your smithing stuff.
I mean, you can hang on to them for now, but we'll.
All right.
Maybe tonight I can.
Are there rules for how much silver it takes to silver a weapon?
100 gold pieces is what it takes to silver a weapon. I looked it up.
Well, that's how much it costs.
How much
silver material does it take?
Yeah, 100 gold worth. Was I guess basically the question is a silver coin equal to is a silver coin actually worth one silver coin in its material?
Yeah, you can silver a single weapon or 10 pieces of ammunition for 100 gold pieces. This cost represents not only the price of the silver, but the time and expertise needed to add silver to the weapon without making it less effective.
Yeah.
So I feel...
So it's not the full 100 that you need if you can do it yourself.
It's not material. It's a lot of his labor, expertise, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Or Forge Cleric. Pap! Yeah.
So someone said,
There you go.
I can make
a
one silver
couple
weapon
dozen
today with artisan
someone
silver.
said a few dozen silver should be sufficient. So
Silver.
majority of the cost is the actual knowledge of it.
So we probably are getting close to being able to silver a single weapon
One, yeah.
for the whole party, which is better than nothing. But
I can make another one magical during battle, and
Yeah.
well, actually, I can make 2 magical at the same time, technically.
that's useful.
So
But anyway, Graves is going to go to the blacksmith.
Have you, like, is all this in character? Have you guys at all been, or in as players, or have you at all been talking like about
Herbert-
silver just as we're like
Yeah.
walking
He
along?
did
Yeah.
mention silver out loud.
yeah,
Yes.
Herbert had mentioned to everyone, save your silver because
Yeah.
it just doesn't exist in the economy. And then we maybe worth just theorycrafting, like, I wonder how many coins we would actually need to silver a weapon. So yeah, we're
Yeah.
discussing all that.
Discussing it in character, I guess.
Kynareth will reach into a pouch that he has and pull out a single silver coin. But it's not the same currency that of everything else, like of the silver coins that you're holding. It's a different kind of silver coin. It's the trinket that I got when I started this. I completely forgot that I had that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
My trinket's my
Kynareth just sticks his hand out to you, just here.
Oh, you don't want this?
Yeah.
Suddenly, who's carrying Pidlick?
Who did Herbert give Pidlick to?
Yeah, I think he was like, I want to investigate this, but it's also very creepy, so I don't maybe want to carry it through town. But
So who did you give it to?
Graves seems comfortable with it, so he just hands it over to
Yeah,
Graves.
sure. Graves has it.
Okay, so Graves, as Kynareth is handing this silver coin over to Herbert, suddenly Pidlick's head kind of goes back and forward, and he's just like, Pidlick's a hungry boy, so feed him a coin for our mutual joy. Give enough coins, and for your pleasure, Pidlick the Second will produce some treasure.
Graves will slot a copper coin into Pidlick because he's curious.
Sucker! And then he just
Honestly-
goes still and goes silent.
Honestly,
Uh,
that was amusing, I must say. That was worth a copper points. That was
Kynareth
worth
is
a copper.
still holding out his hand, waiting for you to take the coin from him.
Does it look like anything in particular to me, or just like a foreign coin, basically?
I'd say just a foreign coin. I didn't really go into RPing it yet. I just noticed it was in my inventory.
It's from
And
Galarian.
Kynareth doesn't want it. You're welcome to insight or perception check him on it if you're curious, but otherwise he's just handing you a coin.
It's from Galarian. It's a Pathfinder coin.
Yeah, I mean, I'll pick it up and I'll look at it. But yeah, I think I can kind of read what Kynareth is going through a little bit. But
Got the,
it's like, well, thank you.
Instead of like the head of Strahd, it has the head of the god king Danaeus.
Yes.
Can I investigate this coin to see like what I'm dealing with, or is it anything in particular, or?
So please correct me if I'm wrong, Cole. This was from your background?
It didn't we roll for trinkets at the beginning?
Yeah, there's haunted trinkets, I think, which I think
Yeah.
was part of backgrounds and stuff for.
Yeah, like Graves has his lantern is technically a haunted trinket that he got from his haunted one background.
So, with that being said, I never really actually created a backstory with it, but I actually was thinking along the lines of what Gary had said, is that it would have the it would actually have two faces on it, a elven woman and a dwarf male looking at each other, and you wouldn't recognize these facades, and it would be in a runic language that I don't. Does anyone know Dwarven?
I don't think so.
Good question. I know Dwarvish. I do.
Okay.
I
I
don't.
also
Holy
moved
notes! I
Marcus.
was not anticipating having to pull up.
Dwarf.
Hold up, like, because this is a whole different campaign.
Yeah, you were just
So,
like
So this is
really.
the Razdom's Empire stuff.
yeah.
Back in our old
As-
campaign, where we were a bunch of
as-
murder hobos.
As far as Conereth, I would probably say that this is just something that he discovered in the monastery one day. Maybe when he was cleaning, he thought it was cool and he pocketed it and has just held on to it ever since.
Well, I think Herbert would like pick it up, look at it, see that it's like this unique thing, and he'd say, I mean, it's this portion of silver is not entirely significant. I do thank you for your sacrifice, but are you sure you don't wish to keep this? Seems like it could be more valuable as a memento than in our project. Very well. For sure.
As you look at it, you would see that it would have two names on there, both in Dwarvish, but it feels like a different dialect than you're used to. You
Fial.
see that the one says Valera Kalaman, and then the other one says
God King
Harul
Huso.
Stormcoat.
Think I've
And
never heard of any of
underneath,
those rulers.
you would see a Fjall Black Tree.
Yep.
Underneath,
Black tree and Fial.
the Black Tree is written underneath the Elvish woman's face, and the Fjall is written underneath the male dwarf's face. But no amount of like scrounging your mind, memory, anything, you can't recall these they look like they were important figures, but you can't find anything to point you towards why.
Unless you're Alex and not Herbert, because then you're like,
Exactly.
haha, our previous campaign.
I mean, I've heard of like black wood before. It's extremely difficult to get your hands on it. It's very dense. It actually sinks. But, I mean, I've never heard of like a, black tree or anything like that. Yeah, I think Herbert would definitely pocket it and probably just not, plan to not use it in the project, maybe, and set it aside unless he absolutely needs it.
That would kind of be the last coin that you would use.
Yeah. And he's also
Okay.
thinking, he's like, I can probably fabricate some more, like, silver myself to...
Moving you guys right along to the...
I will remove it from my inventory.
So,
I
you
love that
guys
cauldron.
come out into the town square. You can see that there's quite a few shops. You see, like over here, you see most of them you can kind of see signs above it. It says Janavik and Sons. This one has a symbol of a potion. Down here, you have you can hear the ting of blacksmithing tools that you don't even need to ask for directions because you can very easily find them as you're going along. To the left side, you see what looks like a horses and like carts, and you actually see a sign that says the cart and wheel. And then here you see a place called the Hab and Dash, but you aren't entirely sure what type of store that is. Here, though, you see blacksmith, and you see a man behind the fence. He is hitting an anvil, and you can see that he has kind of cotton in his ears, and doesn't appear to necessarily be looking around. But as he moves away at one point, he sees that you are all waiting there, and he puts one finger up, and preps his blade and puts it in the fire so that it won't cool down. Or not a blade, sorry, a horseshoe. So that it won't cool down while he's speaking to you. And he's going to pull his ears. I was wondering when you'd all show up. How can I help you? Rowley's the name.
Really? Oh, you're expecting us?
Yes, every adventurer shows up here eventually. I heard that some new adventurers had poured into the town the day before yesterday and was waiting for you. I actually already set aside some what weapons and stuff I have, and just in case. Usually townsfolk don't want to buy it, so I hear adventurers are in. I was ready for it.
You know your stuff? Well, I was looking to get a little bit of change to my equipment.
Oh. And he kind of looks, he's like, that's curious. And he kind of, you hear the clinking of chainmail as he reaches on the table, and he pulls out a chain vest, and it has the holy symbol of Pharasma on the front. And that is where we're going to do a bio break.
I know, I'm pretty certain I recognize this. Anyway, bio break.
So we'll be back in a few minutes, and then finish up from there. Hello and welcome back. We return where the party has just, the party minus Onyx has just been shown another chain vest with the same holy symbol as what is on Graves' own armor. He's like, how long have you been in town? I found this a while ago.
Where did you find that? I assume Graves recognizes that chainmail.
Well, I say found it, but people know that I take old adventuring gear, fix it up, and resell it, so they'll often bring it to sell to me. He was, who was it? Someone found it in the dumpster on the, not dumpster, like a trash bin in the north side of town.
Did you happen to meet an adventurer wearing that? I know there was another Pharasman cleric, a number of months ago, who I suspect that might have been his.
It sounds familiar now that you say it. It's hard for me to separate adventurers because usually people return to Vallaki as they're traveling around. Now that you say it, it does sound familiar. For one.
Do you happen to remember who found this? I'd like to speak to them later, but if not, that's not a big deal.
No, I feel like it was one of the urchins. They often come by for a few copper for it, but I couldn't say which one it was. If you're needing to, probably check at the orphanage if you speak to any of them, or the headmistress at least. Sometimes they try to get copper to purchase something from Binsky or something.
Certainly. Anyway, looking at it, is it chain mail or chain shirt?
Which one's the starter?
Chain shirt is medium, and chain mail is like full or heavy.
You can start with chain mail as a cleric, I think. But I don't think you can start with chain shirt, because it provides some benefits that are a little bit better than...
Yeah, chain shirt is... Chain it's just a...
Sorry, I'm trying to look at the table here.
But it is...
So it's not full chain mail.
Okay.
It's a chain shirt.
Yeah, that one I can actually use.
So, yeah, it wasn't full heavy armor.
It
was a
chain shirt I can use. Chain mail I cannot because I don't have heavy armor proficiency. Well, that's likely a little more than I can afford without getting rid of a couple things, but I do have some things that I was looking to sell. Probably also sell this. I don't think you'd want this, but I can sell it to somebody else.
Oh, let me take a look.
Well, my current armor here is some leather. I could trade that in. I also have, and he pulls out his shield which is and still in good working order. Probably needs a new paint job. Probably has just like the heraldry or like town emblem, whatever, for bowshot on it. I have this, which adds up to 20 gold between the two of those. I have some gold, but that's still only adding up to close to 40. I have a mace. How much are maces worth?
Oh,
5.
I
So
have.
that's 20.
I'll lean into Graves and I'll go. I have some low value gems that might be helpful here as well.
Oh,
You know.
if you would, that'd be great. Because I could
Yeah.
sell this flask of holy water elsewhere, but that could be useful too.
Let's hang on to that. And I'll hand over the copper or the moss agate that I have, which is worth. It's 3 chunks of it are worth 30 gold total, 10 gold apiece.
That'll bring me up to what I need. If my friend Herbert is so kind.
Oh yes, of course. I want to invest in all of our success here. If you need something,
So-
then I'll provide.
How much was it total that you guys had? gathered?
If I give him my leather, my shield, and those, as long as I can sell them, if he just takes them for like the listed price, then that is 50, which is what chain shirt is worth.
He's kind of looking it over, and he's like, "I'll be honest, I don't have much use for gems myself. Um, perhaps there is a
Is there somewhere we could sell things like this of high value to someone who could resell them?
Yes, because we could go from there, come back, etc.
the Habendash may be
That's
somewhere
right
that you
there,
can
isn't it?
go. Yes, straight across the street. She deals with some jewelry and mostly or he deals with jewelry, and he's mostly a tailor though, so he may have someone that would be interested in buying. The other place would be maybe the Arasek Stockyard. They might have something of interest there. And then of course Blinsky, but he mostly works with. He doesn't really put anything of high value into his work other than his
Yes.
own time.
Yes, we spoke with Blinsky earlier. Maybe we'll head over to the Happen Dash and then come back once we've done a little bit of trading for the coins.
Understandable. Is there anything else that you're interested in? Perhaps something I could prepare while you're away?
I have a few gold as well, and I was hoping to get a couple spare daggers. I only have one, and I would like a couple extra.
Daggers. I have a 1,000,001 daggers.
Excellent. I'll
Adventurers
probably
seem to
buy a
drop
couple
them
extras of
all
that.
the time.
Yes. Probably pick up a few spares for you after that, when we're back then.
Do you have
Yes.
any like silver bars by any chance?
Ooh, you are asking the
Material?
question that almost every adventurer asks. No, I do not have silver. I'm able to silver weapons, but it is up to the adventurers to provide the supplies. And I try to gather any silvered weapons that adventurers get rid of. But
I figured I'd ask, but I did expect you to say that.
yes, I can silver weapons. It probably would take for silver coins. They're not very common, but most adventurers that come in here seem to have them.
How many would you figure it would take?
Well, what weapon are you trying to silver?
Let's just say a warhammer, for example.
A warhammer would be doing 2 faces of it. I'd want to make it thick enough so that in the wear and tear of battle, it's not going to just flake off. So I can't do like a gold leaf on it like you have on your any kind of gestures at your holy symbol. It's like we need to have it actually be a full coat, not just a leaf. So for a warhammer, I would say I'd probably need about 30 pieces, I think, to melt it down.
Understood. Okay. Well, we'll keep our eye out, Obviously, those things
If your
are
friends wanting the
marked.
daggers, those would take much less. I could probably get those done with about 15 pieces, maybe less. Probably
How
a
many-
dozen.
How many daggers would you do with 15 pieces?
One dagger.
One dagger. Okay.
No, that's still a lot cheaper.
It's not bad. That's not bad at all. Well,
No, let me clarify.
Cool.
That is just the cost of the material for silver that you will need to provide. Still do charge, depending on the size of the piece. If we're doing the Warhammer, I'd probably charge about 100 gold pieces because of the time. The dagger, probably around 50 gold pieces.
Fair.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yes. All right. Well, unless either of you had anything else, I suppose we'll go to the Stad and such, and then maybe be back.
All right. Yeah. No, I don't have any other business here at the moment. All right. I think we'll head across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go try and change up some money.
So, you walk across the street to the Habendash. It is now that you're kind of seeing it from a different angle, you can see that there is a sign that has a scissor, needle, and thread, kind of on there, and it makes kind of an H and a D in cursive, as you're going along. So, you kind of walk in, you hear a bell kind of tinkle above your head as you open the doors, and you see that there are a number of different items in here. There's looks like these are more like finely made items rather than just something you would see in a general store. So you see that it's a like shirts, and these are finer clothes, like something that nobles would look at buying.
It's like that one shop in Solitude.
I don't recall.
There's a fancy clothes shop in Solitude with a very arrogant high elf woman running it.
Do you make it to the Cloud District very often? What am I saying?
Of course we don't.
Of course you don't. See, I'm there more than you, friend.
Are you still holding on to the creepy doll, Alex, or have you tried to hand it off to someone yet?
It's
Graves now. Connor can take it if he wants it.
No, he doesn't want it. I was going to go out of my way to buy a bag to stuff it in if you guys were making me carry it.
I mean, we could do that just so we don't creep everyone in town out, too.
I mean, I don't know if it would be...
Most people probably are like, oh, that's Blinsky.
Yeah, right?
Most people would be able to tell pretty quickly that's a toy.
Yeah.
It's not something that you would ever view as being scary.
It's
So
not like something that's a threat.
Yeah. It's Blinsky.
It feels pretty threatening.
Yeah, when it's standing upright and it's gesturing with its hands in a character art, yes. But it's limp and it's just maybe it's a little less.
Does its eyes at least close when you haven't pulled the cord? Or do they just stay open unblinkingly?
They actually are open, but they do blink.
They just blink from time to time.
Which is almost worse.
Blink skis, man. Blink.
Blink skis.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's try and tell
Ponerith is just looking at Pidwick, and it just like is like staring straight at him, and then just blinks and just keeps staring straight at him.
Just like one of those like wink.
Onyx is gonna burn that doll.
There could only be one. So you walk in, you kind of see that there is a man in a finely made vest. Obviously, you can tell that his clothing is tailored, and it's kind of something you're not used to seeing in most of the residents of Barovia, that this person looks like they take great care into how they are dressed, and their clothes fit very well rather than just being a like random assortment of like it's not draping off of them. Looking over their shoulder, you can see that he has a pin or two in his mouth. He's like, come in. How can Friedrich help you today?
My friend, we have some We told you might be one who might be interested in buying some gems that we acquired.
Oh, yes, I would be quite interested. Come over to the counter, and he
Almost to
he
Herbert.
flips the counter up so he can walk behind it, and then flips it down. As he's looking, as you walk in, you see that there's a number of different items around here. You see that there's musical instruments. There's different personal items like combs and brushes, and looks like a few razors, like single blade razors, things that normal folk would not necessarily care about, but they are available at the Habitat.
Well, we have some valuable things here that you might be able to use in your craftsmanship. We have some raw materials, as well as a piece of jewelry that might be resellable, perhaps.
Well, let me take a look.
And I'll pull out the Moss Agate, but I'll use a little bit of prestidigitation to make them look a little bit shinier. Just to, just help grease the wheels.
So you had the agate, you said?
Yes, have Moss Agate, or Agate, however you wish to pronounce it.
I don't know how it's pronounced, so.
So we can liquidate that into gold pieces or copper pieces. Yes, I'll say, well, how much do you have to spend on, well, I don't know if that's too rude to say exactly, but could you spend several hundred gold pieces on buying a piece of jewelry? Is that possible? Or
Depends
outside
on
of your
the piece of jewelry.
Well, I have this topaz platinum necklace, and I'll do the same sort of prestidigitation, just make it look like Vanna White, just like shiny, glittery.
Roll me a persuasion check at advantage.
I say, very fine. It once belonged to some nobles in the valley some time ago.
It's
What family?
true.
So-
The Durst family. Oh boy. I'm not the right person to be making this roll. Oh, that's much better than I looked. 15.
All right.
Now with disadvantage for mentioning the Dursts.
Yeah.
It actually you would tell that as soon as you say Durst, the face would change. And Trebek, you got this from the Durst family?
Not directly, but a long time ago it was in the hands of them, many generations.
Yes, I would say it would be quite a few generations ago.
You're familiar with them?
No one knows the noble families without hearing about the noble house of Durst.
Well,
Killed off quite a few years ago. From what I've heard, the house is abandoned and few people enter without leaving. So, must be either brave or foolish to look at entering into that manor.
That's what we've heard as well. Yes, this one was brought out some number of years ago, apparently. That's what we've been told, at least. That's what we've been told, at least, that it was once belonged to them. Of course, I mean, technically, look at the trade, we cannot guarantee ourselves, but that is the story we were told.
Let me take a look at this, and he is going to pull out his, one of the gem things to be able to kind of look at it. He's looking the hold on. You said it was a topaz platinum necklace?
Yes. It's a custom item that I added, but you had assigned 600 gold to its value at that point. So I don't know. I don't think that's meta knowledge that necessarily Herbert would have exactly, but he would know that it's worth like several hundred gold at least.
Yeah. Are you wanting to trade, or are you wanting gold?
We're really more looking for trade, unless you have something like
I mean, and
a large
he
diamond.
kind of, I keep saying she because I think it's Frederica, but it's Frederick. He kind of looks at, he's like, well, it looks like you've been through the ringer. I mean, look at this. And he's going to, walk over and he's like, some of the finest cotton from Kresk. And come feel. And he waves you over to a very nice button-down shirt. That when you touch it is quite smooth, almost like what you would imagine silk would feel like. It's like
Impressive
your
work
own
there.
clothing is starting to wear out. And do you have anything set aside for if you need to go to a meal or anything that you can't wear your armor to?
Funny you should
well-
mention that. Actually, that might be a good idea, actually.
To be honest, yes, we don't really have. I didn't bring in like an extra set of clothes. I do have like some normal clothes, like civilian sort of clothes, but nothing fancy.
Um,
And
So there
I'm
are-
so sorry to have let my appearance drop. I usually take much better care of my clothing. I'm actually a weaver myself, and I'm familiar with how to craft clothing. It's just I've been so distracted and we've been so busy lately. It's just I haven't had the time.
well, perhaps that next time you're in Vallaki, we can make a cup of tea, pot of tea, and we can discuss some of the finer points of the art. It's been quite a while since I've met anyone else that's had any interest in tailoring aside from my services.
Well, it's a quite expensive material or like product, so I like to save money and make it myself.
I understand. I make all my clothes myself for this, but if you were trying to do something just kind of fancier, not tailored, I could probably cut off about it usually costs 5 to 10 gold pieces for the finer clothing, and that would be if for each of your members, so all 3 of you.
We do have a fourth as well. He's just not here at the moment.
Well, I mean, if you would like to get clothing for him, I would need to figure out his dimensions. But certainly something we could look at. I think that if we were doing clothing for 4 of you, I could give you 350 gold.
That's over half the value.
So that would be 350 gold, and you'd make us all clothing?
Correct. I wouldn't tailor it. I'd be willing to do 325 and tailor it for you, but you probably wouldn't have it for a day or 2.
Well, we may need it quickly, so
We actually
probably
might
whatever
have
you
use of it
have.
today.
Oh, well, of course, yes. I could certainly. I have, as you can see, I have an inventory in stock. You look like you're pretty standard size that you don't have. I remember once I had a adventuring group come in, a big, tall man. They said he was a Goliath or something. Wanted a tuxedo to impress the count. I charged him through the nose, and he paid for it. And unfortunately, he would have been better off with armor. But I am willing to do things for that. Luckily, it shouldn't have to be a custom job at all.
Yes. And if we want to tailor it later on, we could probably, I assume we could come back and pay you for that
Certainly.
service later on.
Certainly, I would probably charge to tailor it in probably about 1 to 5 gold pieces, depending on how many.
that sounds like a good deal to me.
Yeah.
You, Herbert? You're the one whose items they technically are.
Well, we all found them.
I guess so.
Or we came upon them together. But yes, I think that would be fair. So I didn't really expect to get the full value of it. So getting over half is pretty good.
Yeah.
And getting the custom clothes that we need is pretty nice. So I think it's a good deal.
Yeah. So
Okay.
For the record, I just don't like bartering in any D&D or anything like that. So
yes,
that's good to know.
That's your price. Okay, yeah, I'll pay it. Sure. Or no, I won't. So.
Oh, and an additional 10 gold pieces for the moss agate.
Certainly. So 360 total, plus we're all getting some clothes.
All right.
Graves will after that go back, buy that chainmail as well if he can get. Well, I assume we'll split that, so he'll just subtract his share.
And I didn't realize that me adding the 10 gold made it perfectly divisible by 4. That was totally
90 each, yeah.
Beautiful.
So yeah, you each get.
Yep. If you guys want to do it right now,
time that we've got money.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Because you guys completely skipped past the general store and the village of Barovia.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think they were going to be able to afford to pay out 300 gold or whatever. So I was like, yeah, it's not really necessary right now. And we got a mission, so let's go.
When you try to hand Conereth his portion, he just kind of is like, it's okay, you can hold on to it.
All right. I'll set it aside in a separate pouch. But I'll carry it.
Because it hasn't really had a situation to be addressed for a while. But the technical time that we've been together has been short, so it seems like it'd be in recent memory. Anytime that you've ever seen Conereth like go to like a tavern or anything like that, he is always like very basic means. Give me a glass of water and a slice of bread. That's all I want. Like nothing fancy. He's clearly like uncomfortable with like wealth and fancy things. Even just like looking at this fancy cotton clothing that you guys got for the event, he looks very uncomfortable with the idea of it.
Now
the only thing of value that he's ever held on to was his amulet.
And for your holy symbol, is that something that you would keep like hidden away underneath yours, or would you kind of wear it proudly out in the open?
It's probably something he would keep underneath, just because
for drawing attention.
As much as it's like a symbol of his faith, the value of it makes him uncomfortable. So,
so you guys are able to pick out your clothing. She tells you he tells you, go ahead and stop by with your other companion, and we can find something that will fit them afterwards, and then gives you your gold, and you guys are able to go back across to Rowley's blacksmithing, and he's like, were you able to sell?
Yes.
Well, I was taking a look at it. I had to clean it up a little bit. There was a few rings here that were broken. It looks like there was a stab, perhaps a long, thin dagger, like a stiletto. I don't know if you've ever seen those.
Yes.
But I was able to kind of repair them a little bit while you were in the Habendash. Based on the damage, I'd be willing to part with it for 45 gold.
Certainly. And I would also like, it's 2 gold for dagger normally, is my assumption, right? I've seen that price before. I would love 3 daggers as well.
I will give you 3 daggers. And he will pull them. He's like, and he pulls out like a box, and you can tell it's actually a wine box. That says on the side of it has it has a logo on the side that says Wizard of Wines. Across there, and it's just full of daggers. He's like, take your pick.
Graves will take 3 nice looking daggers. None of them stand out to me as particular. They're all just a bunch of daggers.
They're all pretty standard daggers for you. Like some have leather handles, some have kind of molded handles. Overall, you're kind of able to get your pick, whichever you would like.
We'll grab 3
Is there
daggers.
anyone else purchasing anything at the blacksmith?
I don't think I have anything really that I would need because no, I'm good.
All right, so we're going to jump over to Onyx then, and what he's been doing while you guys are out. What we're going to do is we're going to have you guys walk back into the main square, and you're going to see Onyx leaving the Janovic and Sons for there. But for now, you were able to make your way. You said you wanted to do some research. Were you asking people around for like what kind of research were you looking for?
I was going to. I gotta pull up my notes. I was going to Janovic and Sons to look up Tatiana's name, because I was told that this might be the place where there's some genealogy records.
Yeah. So, as you approach, you open the door and no like bell or anything kind of announces your name. You walk in and you see that from floor to ceiling along the walls there are shelves full of books. They are very haphazardly put in and out, and you actually see a familiar face as you walk in. You actually see the face of Vasily von Holtz,
Yep.
who has spoken to you, and you can see that he is looking at some books. He looks over and he's like, Onyx. Did I get it right this time?
You did. Hey, how's it going?
It is quite well. I did not know that you were a reader. What brings you?
Not a reader, but a researcher.
Oh,
So I am looking up. I'm curious about some genealogy of some individuals that we've met along the way.
well, perhaps I might know something. My family is quite old within the valley, and I had to learn genealogies as I was growing up.
Perfect. First name Tatiana.
Roll me an insight check.
Okay. That's never a good sign.
He's just like, are you serious? That person?
Please be better than D&D Beyond. Oh, okay.
So you see what appears to be a light of understanding as you ask him that he recognizes the name. I mean, he's like, I know the name, but it is not a noble woman. I do know that it's from a long time ago, like near the beginning of. I think I heard some of your friends mention it previously, and I could be totally wrong. It was around the time that the Durst were killed. Probably 50 to 100 years before that name had popped up. Where did you hear this name?
Oh, in passing, it was linked to one of the lords or burgermeisters or something like that. And so I was just curious because it was an odd name.
Yes, quite an odd name, an old name. I'd be curious to know who had passed that on to you. But I can tell you for certain that it is not that of someone in one of the noble families.
Okay, so
Perhaps Janovic would be able to tell you more. He is wise in his years. and spoke with Herod, the old town historian, quite a bit. So he may have some knowledge, but I just was here, but I'm going to be preparing. I actually have a lunch with the burgomaster later today, but I'll talk to you later. And he walks out the door.
I stop him. You do?
Yes, he asked if I could join him. He said he had some guests joining that he wanted me to meet.
All right, I'll see you later.
Goodbye, Onyx. And he walks out and
Where are the guests?
I'm too socially awkward that was all like, yeah, okay, well, I'll see you later. Like, that was him saying, yeah, I'll see you at the lunch.
So he leaves, and when the door closes, you hear an older gentleman kind of shout from the back of there. He's like, Vasily, is that you? And he walks around the corner, and he's like, oh, I thought it was Vasily in here. How can I help you? How can I help you today?
Vasily just left, thank you. But he said you may have some information on some genealogy I'm looking up. It heard the name.
Wait. You're here for information? For history?
Yeah.
Not to buy a book.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I haven't been able to talk history with people in a while. I'm more than happy to help. How can I help you today?
Have you heard the name Tatiana before?
Oh. Dark Tidings. Where did you hear that name?
Dark Tidings? It was in passing, but
he knocks on, like, the table, like, in between, like, or near him, like, he knocks on one of the bookshelves, and he's like, well, here, come here. And he's going to go over to a table, and he's going to kind of sit down, and he's like, please, sit. It's an old story, but I don't know very much about it. So I apologize if I don't have all the knowledge that you're seeking.
okay.
Be careful telling people about that name. You look like you're an adventurer. You're not from Barovia.
Correct.
Depending on who you speak to, that name can carry positive or negative baggage with it.
Okay.
That is the name of a woman from many, many, many years ago that, for one reason or another, caused a lot of pain around her. That it sounds like there was a great tragedy surrounding that name. And as far as people with living memory, to my knowledge, it's only Strahd von Zarovich himself that would know. He takes a particular interest in anyone that takes an interest in Tatiana. For that reason, there's not too much known. I've seen the name pop up a few other times in the history of Barovia, but other than that, not too much.
Okay. So you don't know what this great tragedy, or even description of what this woman looked like?
There has been some talk, based on, so there was a gentleman named Herod. He was the old town historian. We would talk for hours, and everything that we, so depending on who you ask for the translation, it was either a hot-headed woman or had red hair. So, depending on the translation. We tended to lean towards it was a description of her color of hair. And we think that was the cause of her hair being considered unlucky for whatever unknown tragedy had occurred around her.
Gotcha. And you said this was like 100+ years ago, though, right?
Much more. Closer to 800 years ago. Which is why we have very limited knowledge of what happened. If you would like, the only person you can ask would be Strahd von Zarovich himself, but I would not recommend it.
Yeah, no, we've we're gonna try to stay away from.
That would be wise.
Yeah. So what happened with this woman? Like, just disappear out of nowhere?
I think she died. Like I said, I just know that some point in the early ages, like when Barovia was separated, there was a woman named Tatiana. Something bad happened, and then people didn't name their children Tatiana anymore.
Gotcha. And so, forgetting that name, because let's not bring bad omens to the city.
Agreed, and he knocks on the table in between you.
The other thing I'm interested, being a historian yourself, is this town in particular, where it seems as though something keeps Strahd away.
Yes. There's a few different viewpoints on that as to why. Some say it's just that he doesn't care. Others say that it's because we pay our taxes, and so he lets us function as we would like. Others say it's because of the Church of St. Andrew, and even others say that it's because of the Valakovich line being able to hold him at bay. I think it could be a combination of these things.
Okay. Yeah, because the father mentioned about some certain rites that he performs every year.
That would probably be the Feast of St. Andrew. It's coming up, if I recall correctly. I don't remember the exact date, though. But yes, they have a feast every year.
Gotcha.
For that.
Okay.
But if you're interested in history, I do have multiple books that you can utilize for kind of learning some history. I mean, I do sell books. That is how I make a living.
Of course.
But there's a few. Do you like? We have some pretty common ones. We have the Battle of Berez, the Battle at the Gates of Solenka, Legend of Lugdana. Is there any of those that sound interesting?
Which one would you recommend?
That's a good question. I think the Legend of Lugdana is one of my personal favorites. It tells of the orphan girl who was raised, who was taken by Lord Angsfast. He raised her as his own, master of battle, tactics, sword, combat, trained her the only way that he kind of knew how. And she became one of the greatest fighters that he had ever witnessed. I don't want to spoil too much, but Lord Ankvast he created the Order of the Silver Dragon. His home is his castle or mansion, whatever you want to call it, is I believe it's west of the town. That it's still somewhat dangerous to travel into, but it would give you some knowledge about it. Just to know, like, these noble knights of the past.
Sure, I will take that book.
Now, books are hard to come by. It'd probably be about 15 gold, to purchase this. Is that okay with you?
Unfortunately, I am short on funds, so maybe next time.
Of course. And, we have plenty of books here. I'm sorry that I can't lower the price.
Oh, totally understand.
But, the Gates of Selenka is 25 gold pieces, and the Battle of Berez is 10 gold pieces.
Okay.
I do have some rare books, but I like to kind of keep them for personal perusal. But if you're ever interested, you may be able to look at them, but they're closer to around 75 to 100 gold pieces.
Of course. And a historian like yourself, I would definitely prefer you keep them somewhere safe and in good condition than with me out on the road.
Yes, of course. Is there any other questions I can answer for you?
No, thank you very much, and I lay a gold on the counter for him. You have been very helpful, and I really appreciate your time.
No, please. Keep the gold. I want to, I like passing my knowledge on. It's not a commodity to be sold. Knowledge should never be constrained in that way.
I bow to him, and, well, thank you. And I'll take the gold back. Not gonna insist.
He,
It's respectful because it's his belief. So yeah.
and he, kind of watches you as you leave out. You are going to exit out of Janovics and Sons and see ahead of you, your other party members walking towards you holding a strange clockwork doll. Coming towards you.
Just looks at you and winks at you.
I may snap its head off. No. I wave them over.
Okay, so you guys are able to gather together. You guys would probably be carrying like packages or bags of your clothes that you had gotten from the Hagendash. Habendash? Yeah, Habendash.
Kieran, you're muted, by the way. I saw you were trying to say something.
Nothing important, at least.
Okay.
I was just saying hi to Onyx. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Probably get his clothes for him, and then I'll go to the church and change and drop off that doll before going to the Burger Masters.
So
Hey, guys.
Oh, go ahead.
What's... Like, I know I'm not good at picking out gifts. But even I wouldn't have picked that.
Apparently, she actually had her eye on it. She had been into the store multiple times.
I think everybody would have kept their eye on it. Look at it!
Blinksy's style is very macabre.
It matches all the rest of the things in there, and they did recommend that we go there. He claims it's his masterpiece, so
The Vistani are a strange folk.
I'm just kind of going with the flow here.
Well, we'll give it to Tarek first, and if he's like absolutely not, then we'll take it back.
How did you guys pay for it? Because, like, the books are 10 gold plus.
It was only 10 copper. Speaking of, here's 90 gold for you.
Oh yeah, we sold some treasure.
And we need you to come with us to get your sizes so we can get you some nice clothes for the lunch. Then we should probably all change and not bring this doll with us to the lunch.
Oh, it also does this, and I pull the cord.
You pull the cord, and it's like, "What's up, ugly?"
It is what it is.
All right, I don't do anything. I stare at it like, and I may poke it, like, the fuck.
Yeah. If you wish, I can take this back to the church. If you wish to go get your clothes.
You may want to burn it.
I mean, it's not. It hasn't been so bad.
It just
kind of,
insulted me.
It looks over at Herbert, who's like, it hasn't been so bad, and then looks back at Onyx.
It just moved on its own.
Yeah, it's supposed to do that. You insert a coin, then it does that for a while.
I mean, if we don't put any more coins in it, it should eventually sort of stop doing that, right?
Yes. Supposedly, yes. Anyway, I'll take this back to the church. Meet up with you once. Oh, you've got Onyx's clothing, and we'll get ready for lunch. Gray's whole head on off. He's like, I'm just gonna get this out of here.
It garners a lot of attention anytime it does things.
I look over at Conereth and Graves, and Herbert as Graves heads off. That thing's cursed, isn't it?
Something like that. It's gotta be magic. Like, there's no... I can't figure out. There's no way it could just do that by craftsmanship, you know? There's got to be something going on.
Is it a weaker Warforged?
Maybe. I'm planning to, at some point, once I get a minute to sit down, cast Identify on it. I didn't want to do it in the shop. I didn't want to, like, offend the shopkeeper or anything like that, but I need to see if that's magical in some way.
You need to know what this thing is.
I don't know if it'll even work, because if it doesn't work, that'll probably mean it's not really an object. Because I've heard there's this arcane theorem that there's two different types of, like, things. It's objects and creatures.
So, Graves takes everything back to the church. You guys are able to get clothing for Onyx without any issue. Don't have to spend any more. Onyx, do you spend any of your gold to buy that book that we had talked about?
Yes, I was gonna say, now that I was given some gold, I would rush back in and be like, actually, I forgot I had some.
Oh, well, wonderful! And he hands you a leather-bound book, and I do have it is one that someone had written up previously by, I believe the gentleman's name is Pyram King. He's a big YouTuber, and he does stuff for Curse of Strahd.
And
so I'll be able to provide that.
15?
15 gold, yes.
Okay. Well, here you are.
Yes, let me know if you have any other ones. I'll keep an eye out for other books, if that might be of interest for you.
And what's it called?
The book that you just got is called The Legend of Lugdana.
Legend of Lugdana.
I will have to make it as a handout in PDF form to be able to put on the
Oh, no worries.
thing, but he has it all typed up, so it should just be kind of a copy and paste.
Nice.
But I will also read it to make sure that there's not anything in there that you aren't supposed to know at this stage. But I don't believe there is. And if there is, it's something you'll learn. So
Perks of my researcher background.
yeah, for sure. So
Nice.
I didn't know that was your background, was researcher.
It is, yes.
Oh, cool. So
Not what I would have expected.
Yeah.
with that being said, you guys are all able to gather up. You now are traveling to. It's getting close to 11 to noon. It's been almost midday. You are now making your way to the Burgomaster's mansion, and you come upon the front gates intricately wrought and knock upon the door. And that is where we'll end tonight's session.
Yeah. I do something that I will discuss with everyone else in character, and it's preparation that will happen before that. We can do that next week.
Sounds good. Yeah, just feel free to write it down so you don't forget.
I think we all have to do a fit check at the beginning of next session to say what we're wearing for fancy clothes.
I saw that I changed grades on Hero Forge and sent a screenshot to the stream discussion chat.
Oh yeah, you guys could do that. So because you guys now have dinner clothes.
Yeah. Graves got a nice vest and such.
I'm not sure Onyx would change.
Yeah, I mean,
you have clothes, you have the option, but it's I guess nothing forcing you.
Yep. No, we're not going to force you or anything. So
I'll have to think about that over the week or 2 weeks, whether Onyx would or not, because he also has been warned not to insult the Baron. So he might be like, "Well, I'm not eating, so maybe this is even though I find this absolutely stupid." Maybe this is a way to make up for the fact that I'm going to be fake eating.
Well, that's like I said, that's where we'll end tonight's session. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back in 2 weeks to to actually have the lunch with the Baron, which but we met Pitluck. So, thank you all so much for joining, and have a great night.